from. All right. So apologies for the part that we lost. A great number of what we discussed so far is gone, but I think we followed through. So let's attempt. I'm attempting to see. Let's see if we can use Nmap as a tool, right? To let me see. Let's see if we can use Nmap as a tool to find who this guy is. So let's copy this guy, www.hacker.org, right? And see, this is just like an arbitrary. I don't know if this site exists. I don't want to because I've not signed any document with anybody. So I don't want to go and launch something that is, let me launch my Nmap, then share it, right? Nmap is a tool that we should have. It's a very good tool. It can be an aggressive guy, depending on how you instruct it and what you tell it to do. So let me launch Nmap. Okay, I think. Sorry, let me stop sharing and find my Nmap. Hold on. Okay, great. Okay, super. So let me launch Nmap now. Then attempt sharing Nmap. Great. So this is what the tool looks like. Let me share it now. Nmap is open source, very, very available. Can you see it now? I'm sure you can. This is what Nmap is like. Let me maximize it. This is who the guy is. Right? So I have to indicate the target, which could be an IP address. This is a very good tool to use. You can try it on anywhere, but please be discreet about it. It's not like the tool is dangerous, you know. It's just that part of what we talked about earlier is with regards to getting proper clarification or clearance regarding where you are going to be typing. Now, observe here, that's the site I want to, attempt, scanning. And here's what we're looking at, intent scan. If you drop down this box, it indicates the different things you want to do. You perhaps want to do a ping sweep, ping scan, a quick scan, right? You want to perhaps do intense UDP or perhaps do intense TCP. So let's assume that I want to do intense scan. Let's attempt to see what it's going to say. So here the scan, I can go ahead and click on it and say scan. Now it is scanning the guy and starts Nmap, begins to scan the particular site, if it ever exists, Okay, so it's indicating that warning, no targets were specified. So 0 hosts scanned. So that means this guy is not the correct guy. Okay. So let's assume that I want to even do -T. Let's look. Okay, let I'm trying to be careful. Okay, well, let me explain how this works and then we can just move from there. You can try that later. So your NSE here is your Nmap search engine, right? So with regards to what I asked it to do, it loaded 157 scripts for scanning and started scanning. So within the script, we didn't develop this. This is a pre-developed application. So we're just using the application. So the knowledge of understanding how this works and perhaps even building yours or tweaking it to suit what you want to achieve is a great skill. We hope that we'll grow into that place. But after scanning, it says, look, it initiated this is the time. This is the time on the machine. At the time it started, this was this. And it kept scanning. It did the initiation of the Nmap search engine. Sorry, somebody's asking a question. Okay, hacker.org. Okay, cool. So let's try it. So we could try them. Hacker.org. Let's change the number 4 to A. Great. So let's scan and let's see what we have here. Great. Well, as it stands from the output, okay, great. So now as it stands, this is hacker.org. That's his IP address. 172.236.138.39. So it has how many ports? 4 ports that are open. So it completed a ping scan at this time, right? And there's just one host. However, that one host is running 4 ports. What are those ports for? The host as it is right now, it reported that host is down. So the guy is not up, right? And as it stands, we can go ahead and find out who this guy is using another tool. This is where we can actually go to Google and find. Just copy this guy. So let me stop sharing this guy and launch a browser, right? And then share that browser and see if we can just go ahead and hold on, just a very simple tool, right? Google.com, just to find out who is this guy or who this guy is. So let me attempt sharing that brother of ours there. So say share my browser, and let's see there. So here we have, so let's paste, I'm sure you can see my screen now. So this is the guy. So let's see, who is this guy? Who is this guy? So that's the guy. Some information about this guy here. Let's find out who he is. Oh, it's actually a range of IP addresses that this is allocated to. I want to find the same guy. Let me not even go to IP info. Let me go to whois.com. Right, whois.com. So this is our whois.com. So let's post that here. Who is this guy? So let's find search. So we're unable to perform a lookup for this guy. It appears to be an invalid unsupported domain. So, and you realize that this could be some site that somebody has actually tied somewhere with the hope of selling, right? Perhaps just shadowing for some other person. But again, since we're on record, if we're in a class environment where this document will not be referenced, I for try some things. But hey, this tool is what you can do. Download Nmap, install it, right? And then try some things on your system within your environment. Please be discreet about it, because we've not signed any document that says we'll not be in trouble. Nobody has given us permission. Part of what we're doing here is ethical. So we shouldn't be doing these things trying to attack any other person. So let me go ahead to resume the conversation we're having earlier on our slides. Okay, so we've been welcome back from the whole activity. We've been able to identify something. So, say for example, based on what this is revealing, we've been able to identify from here that we did the scan earlier, but there are 4 ports that are available. Further scan, I've been able to reveal the ports that are available and what services are running on them. Right. So, example shows how the dig tool we can use. This is on Kali. So we're digging to find who this guy is, and the dig tool is a very good tool, right? That is in Kali. Okay. So let me bring that up. Very important. So the highlighted lines showed IP addresses associated with that particular network. As it stands, these are the addresses we can see based on this particular output. And again, this was structured largely because of this class. Okay. So well, you can use the basic DNS tools such as the NS lookup, host, and dig. By the way, dig is actually I think it's an acronym as domain. I think it's domain information grouper, just like ping. Ping is also an acronym, but over time it's actually become a word for people, and what it does has been accepted as a thing. Ping is packet internetwork grouper. So dig is just domain information grouper, right? It's a utility that allows you to just query a domain name server and then get information back. Basic informations, maybe things about, just like how we have here, things about the various domains that they have and the IP addresses assigned to them, right? So similarly, you can use the dig, and then this is for the mail exchange. So in this instance, here we have the command dig, right? Domain grouper, okay? And you can put in the mail, that's the domain here, put in the particular, if it's a domain name or particular IP address. MX is a mail exchange, right? Use that to obtain email server information about this. This is still gathering information, reconnaissance. You can easily identify domain technical and administrative contact by using the whois tool. Now, this is a good tool, is quite revealing, and it's quite, you can run into trouble with it. You realize here that this highlighted information here identifies the registrar. Okay, this is for Google. This is saying that the guy who registered this particular organization is Google. The registrar is Google, and they have an ID assigned, which is 895. So this means these guys are registered. Here you could see also that it was created 2018. It was updated on that same day. Expiry would be 2028. Okay, so quite some, I think 4 years from now. Okay. And but we have some information here regarding some administrative some information regarding people responsible. There's a registrar of the site. In this case, that's a registrar. Okay, so in the event that there's some issues, of course, contact the person. Some other information reveal the technical guy, which is usually not very good because that's the target. Let me quickly jump ahead and say this. Do I jump ahead or let's wait till I get there? Typically, we've had some issues in the past with regards to um, applications, or let's say services that were scripted, or let's say softwares. And for the purposes of transparency, there was need for whoever issues the certificate to those guys who build those things to be known. Why? Because a lot of attacks have actually happened around the internet, which led to the fact that some exchange was done, some conversations were done. Remember, I mentioned at the beginning somewhere that the interaction that happened within the network, the architecture of the internet is largely client server. So if somebody is interacting with the server, typically I want to find out if the person is valid. Okay, so there's some form of authentication that needs to happen regards to the application or the platforms that they use. So there's a need to actually verify if this person is valid. So because of that, we have things, organizations called the certificate authority, whose job is to assign certificate regarding whatever service or let's put it this way, certification a particular server or service would have on the network or the internet. So there was a need to make that public because a lot of people were now getting attacked because those ones were not available. People took advantage of that particular transparency. I dropped a link earlier in the group and asked for us to read, right? That link exposed a lot about how that is very important that certificate authority transparency becomes the main thing. It's like going to a school, right? And having completed what is expected in the school, of course, you'll be certified by certain guys in the school, certain authorities or certain management staff, say maybe the vice chancellor or the rector, as the case may be, or the provost, as the case may be, and perhaps the registrar. They have to sign to say, okay, all right. Now, the chief executive officer, or the man who's in charge of the school says, okay, hey, I need to sign because I'm the head. Then there's one who's the registrar, who's responsible for your records upon entry and exit, would have to attest by signature that, hey, this person walked into this institution, completed what is expected of this person, and the person has completed all, and we consider the person is good, and the person is good to go. So they give you a certificate. Now, if you walk into any place and tender the certificate, there are two ways to do that. You can say verbally that I have a certificate from here, and we could take your word for it. But I want to go further and say, hey, let's make it transparent. If you have a copy of it, let's see it. The copy should indicate the signature of the person who signed. Now, from that signature, I can attest, apart from the signature, there might be the logo of the institution that says, oh, yeah, this person finished from XYZ University or XYZ Polytechnic or XYZ College of Education. So it contributed a lot to allowing reconnaissance to gain ground, right, with allowing people to make public some of this information. Part of that kind of argument is actually what's done here. This is largely with respect to domains. Okay, so many organizations keep their registration details private and instead use the domain registrar's organization contact, like what's happening here. So yes, I could be ochepol.com or ochepol.org, but what you would see on my website, if you were to search or using Whois to search my IP address or my name, you would see the person who registered me, not necessarily me, because I may not have all it takes to protect myself from any form of pen test or any form of cybersecurity attack. So if you look at this, right? Yes, somebody has a question. Yes, domain. Thank you. Domain information group, that's dig is a tool in Linux, Kali Linux, that is used for searching out domain querying domain name systems, just to be able to find that information. Thank you for that addition. So let's move forward. Trying to see how much you can achieve so that I can get to the part that is very juicy. So if you look at this carefully now, okay, so now let's look at this Whois details for Tesla. This is for Tesla. Whois, tesla.com. The domain name is tesla.com. The registry domain is this. This is an identification. The Whois server is whoismacmonitor.com. So this is not Tesla. I think I have one so Mac Monitor is the registrar, right? So you can see with respect to any form of abuse, the person to contact is abuse and complaints is at markmonitor.com, right? This way, they've been able to hide whoever the person is that has the information. Now, in this particular case, this is for Cisco.com. Of course, Cisco can afford to make this available because this course is theirs. So this example shows the technical and administrative email contact for the domain Cisco.com. So if we do a whois for Cisco.com, this is using grep, then narrow it down to this. You have registrant of this is infosec at Cisco.com. This information are all out there. Now, email address is this guy. This is infosec at Cisco.com. The technical email is infosec at Cisco.com. Now, these guys are open. Now, I have an email address I can send a mail to, structure the mail in such a way that they can accept the mail or perhaps click on it and then that's that. Okay. So they are pointing to infosec instead of the registrant. So this would be Cisco registering. Cisco is like just like what Google would do for some other person hosting the service for them. So this is a lab on DNS. Look it up. This is where you use your NS lookup and dig, right, on a Linux system, on a Kali system. Right, a company can, for cloud versus self-hosted applications and related subdomains. You know that some organizations have a domain, but then they have some subdomains under it. So case in point here is Netflix, the example I was making earlier. You'd realize here that after doing a search, this is, of course, this host command is as good as doing a DNS lookup, right? On these commands can actually work. So the command here is host on a Linux device. Now, you realize that we're trying to find a information about the domain netflix.com, and it returns 3 output. Netflix.com has these 3 addresses, right? Well, this is at the time of this particular let's add that caveat. At the time of this particular discussion, it's also, I think, contained the curriculum there. So Netflix owns the domain netflix.com, which resolves to IP addresses of 3.230.129.93, 52.3.144.142, 54.234.226.164, as demonstrated here. However, the IP addresses, this, and this, are owned by Amazon when we do a whois for that particular address. A whois reveals that the owner is Amazon Technologies, suggesting that Amazon is helping, is providing a platform, right, for Netflix.com to deliver their service, which is, of course, Netflix are movies. So in this example, the whois command is used to retrieve the organization name of the owner of each of the IP address. So these are recon tools, right? So as we grow in it, of course, we need to know what is exactly we're looking for. This is one of the parts that I want to actually talk about as well. So social media scraping, this is passive reconnaissance. Attackers can easily gather valuable information about victims by scraping social media sites. They just scrape. Somebody who's scraping is more like, I would have said this was scavenging. You just go there and gather after they've actually dropped their stuff. You gather information, and they may not know they are putting it there. Let me quickly correct this so that we don't get into trouble. So we can call this X. X. Oh, I moved on like that. So X, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, right? I saw a feature that has recently come up where on WhatsApp you can actually tag someone. You can imagine what features are beginning to get embedded in most of these applications that are supposed to be private. Now it's beginning to allow a lot of interferences. However, there are things you put on most of these platforms that I can gather information from. Like some people might actually do, there's this thing that people do when you go for some events and they want to generate traction, right? They ask you to generate a hashtag and say, hey, guys, know what? When you go today, make a picture, write something about this event and blah, blah, blah. What I've done is that I've simply just given people information. Mr. X was at a particular meeting in Abuja and they participated in this meeting, and this group of people, I can search by hashtag and find out, everybody who was in that or people that were there use this hashtag. So cool. That means they're part of a particular training. Give or take, right? I'll be able to find an information. Having said that, let me take a pause and show us one short movie. I think it's about 3 minutes or so. Hold on. Let me see if I can pause. Let me pause and then resume. All right, so please watch this video. It's something. Wait a minute. Let me try to share my audio. before I go buy job because I know share computer sound, stereo, high quality. All right, great. So here we go.
The race is on to get a fully self-driving car to market.
Autonomous car company Opticon promises a
Cars that drive themselves. Opticon's new cars.
Destroyed data and deleted the backups. We can recover most of it, but some of the research may be gone for good. According to the forensics, they may have had access to the blueprints.
The FBI arrested a San Francisco man in connection with last month.
Can I get you anything? Coffee or soda or something?
No.
So, walk me through it, step by step.
Well, I took over the website to a bowling alley.
This is not a joke.
Okay, look. Research facility down the peninsula, and they're working on optical tracking cameras for driverless cars. So, just searching through social media, I get the names of a whole bunch of engineers who are working there. And as I'm looking them up, I come across Bowling Bee. A bunch of tech companies play every Wednesday. And this is an old school bowling alley with this really ancient website. And it has all the league info, company names, player names.
Okay, so you hacked into a bowling alley website.
Yeah.
All right, explain how that works.
It's called an iframe injection attack. It's this old exploit that visits the website. So a week later, this guy from Opticon suddenly has my malware on his laptop. I couldn't believe it worked. It was like a joke.
What does that get you?
Well, the next day he goes to work and he opens his laptop and he connects to the network. And that's it. I'm in.
Yeah, but that still doesn't get you inside. I mean, they discovered it. They wiped the laptop, scanned the network.
They didn't scan the whole network. The thermostat's part of the network. It's inside the firewall. It's connected to Opticon's entire network. You can get the whole standard configuration and password online in 30 seconds. I got it off the manufacturer's website. So they scanned most of the network. They didn't scan the thermostat.
Then what?
Then I just went exploring. It was a totally flat network, no subnets or anything. I could see everything, HR files, legal documents, R&D. When I found the blueprints, I realized I could make some money off these files.
What happened after you sent the files?
Oh, then I burned everything down. I wiped everything I could find. Encrypted drives, deleted backups.
Is the network down? I can't change something with the database.
The servers look corrupt. We're going to have to do a full restore from the backups.
No, the backups are encrypted.
This is deliberate.
This is a major breach.
Malware.
We gotta call the FBI.
I was just scared. I was trying to cover my tracks.
And somebody paid you how much exactly?
75 bitcoins.
Nice. Not enough to retire on, but still. All right, Brian Page. Are you sure you don't know who paid you?
European automaker Q-Car has beaten Opticon to market with their QX sedan, the world's first self-driving car. Opticon shares tumbled 11% on the
All right, so 3 minutes, 58 seconds. I noticed some people were talking at the background. I don't know if you captured what we were talking about, but it appears I'm going to have to mute. Lubenga, I think you just came in and your conversation, you and your wife conversation full everywhere. We can only talk what we're not supposed to hear. We are doing reconnaissance. Let's not gather information from you. All right. So the video captured some guy who was arrested, and he's more or less a cybersecurity threat actor. And he broke into a particular site, gathered information, and he was explaining how he got it. He did the first thing, which was reconnaissance. What brought my attention to this video and I thought to share was the fact that he gathered a great number of what he needed regarding the people's profile from social media. From social media, stuff that they were posting, he could deduce that, hey, there's a research going on. I'm sure somebody pointed him in the direction, but then, hey, we're looking at how he got it, because he said he got a tip from someone asking him. He sold the research. It was a product some people were going to sell. It was an American-driven company, which was self-driven cars. He was able to steal the research files and sold it to another company called Opticon, which was in Europe. For some reason, that company has lost face because if you on record, it will now show that the first guys to do self-driving cars were the other guys who were in Europe, right? But the guys in America lost. Why? Because this guy attacked. And how did he get the information? Some some researchers, some engineers, all random. He just got them and realized that from their posts, they tallied with people who were working on a particular research, right? People who put stuff on. I like the idea, right? But I would say, hey guys, tone it down because visibility would eventually happen. It wouldn't necessarily happen by posting stuff on social media platforms, not even on LinkedIn. That place is becoming very scary these days, right? Because we tend to look at maybe social media like Facebook, Instagram, and the rest of them being too rowdy on X. But then LinkedIn, that was supposed to be like a very sane place, is becoming more crowded now. People actually sending private messages telling you, hey, we saw your profile. What's up? There's an opening. And you just think, hey, oh boy, me, this thing, I don't look for greener pastures. I've been training for 5 years. You go and click it there and then submit some information. Some people request that you submit CV to them and the CVs never see the light of day. For you know what's happening, somebody is shadowing you, using your credentials to access some jobs and all. Now, I'm not a rabble rouser, but I'm saying that these are the practical things that are happening out there. And with respect to our field, we must be very cognizant of it and position ourselves to fight it or perhaps prevent it. So this guy got facts about all of this information. Realized that they were all working on a particular research, a particular self-driving car, and they were going for hangout at a particular place. And typically people will post hangout, hey man, I'm hanging out with my cronies. Then in that whole environment, somebody went to that place with a laptop, typical IT guys. Sometimes you want to say, let me lab up, let me do some work. And when he got there, there might be did they have internet? He connected to the internet. What this guy did was to drop an iframe, right? And it injected it into his browser. And that was all he needed. He got a notification later that, hey, his exploit had been loaded in someone's device. The guy goes to office. So this is somebody who didn't intentionally plan to mess their environment up, but he was in the line of duty and somebody did some form of passive reconnaissance, gathered information from him and used the information to penetrate the network. And for them, the people they shut down the network, of course, but they didn't know, or I'm sure they knew, but perhaps they didn't consider that the thermostat that was on the wall was part of the network. And so the guy went ahead and sat everywhere. They scanned everything, took out everything. Of course, that suggests that they have very good systems. They have malware detectors right available, IPS, IDS, all of the works. Everything happened and it was detected and they got alerts, and alerts were working fine. So they worked on the network, shut everything down. But the thermostat. So the guy just hung on the thermostat, came back later, and what he did was to do some form of ransomware, encrypted all files, requested that they pay, and he was paid. And the beauty of this whole clip is that this didn't happen in real life, it's just a script to communicate or underscore this point. The beauty of it was that we're told he was captured. That's to suggest that, hey, there's no hiding place for you if you are doing something nebulous or perhaps something not straightforward, right? So let's get back to our slide. Then see what we can do. So I thought to share that video to explain how that is very possible to gather all this information from valuable information from social media platforms. Often attackers use other information such as key contacts, that's company stakeholders, and their job responsibilities. Like you may get mails from your chief executive officer. I was citing an example day before yesterday, one of our classes, where I was saying that now we have a new Minister of Education. It's possible some people could take advantage of it to say, hey, the minister sent out mail to institutions. Everybody click on this. Okay, let's say, for example, in this case of IPPIS and non-IPPIS for academic institutions going on GIFMIS and the rest of them, you could just get a mail. And since it's pertaining to salaries and emolument or maybe remunerations, somebody would just say, they say we should fill this form, which is why a lot of people found it very hard clicking on some form. For those of you who are in that sector, there was a form that was sent at one point saying people should validate their records with IPPIs and the rest of them. People were very skeptical up until the last minute. Apart from the fact that we don't read most times some information sent, of course, there was a scare that perhaps this could be one of those plots where people actually target a particular organization. I could decide to say, hey, you know what? We are changing payment platform. We're moving to XMix. And XMix is going to pay extra 30K. Please, if you are going to collect extra 30K in this very particular time, click on this link and fill out your form. And it will be coming from the boss of your organization. So these are ways, and social engineering is one of the tools. I think module 7 We're going to be dealing with that in Module 7, social engineering, which is typically just socializing as a way to gather information. It's also part of, it's one of the reconnaissance tools. So attackers can use all the information to perform different types of social engineering attack, which include spear phishing. Spear phishing is where you target, all your resources at a particular organization or a particular target, an entity. Because if you get him, it's great. Then there's also whaling. Whaling is large corporations, which, if you handle, could be nation states, could be big corporations and all. Attackers often leverage job listings in websites like Indeed, LinkedIn, career builders, and individual company websites to obtain information about the technologies these companies use. Okay, so somebody can just go and write, hey, I'm finding some rogue person, some shadow guy would have some account and generate some, I don't know, could be some hacker seated there gathering information for lots of people and selling. So it's not enough that certain postings are there in all of these career platforms or these job offering platforms. It's very, very important that we look through it and find out, how do you look through? Search them, use your skills. So attackers have also created job posts to attract people to apply for those positions. These are still part of reconnaissance using social media scraping. So they interview their victims to try to get them to talk about what they do at work and the technologies used by their employer. Just ask information. What do you use? I'm looking at somebody working with, but no, I've worked on it. Matter of fact, right now I'm working on version 2.0. So I now know, okay, that organization, then they use 2.0. Whereas what we had as a tool built was targeted at 1.0. So we have to upskill our particular tool to target that particular organization, right? So this is how social media scraping works. So there's a lab, intelligence gathering. We'll look at that. Now, this is an area that I wanted to actually dwell on a lot. This is with respect to cryptographic flaws. Of course, we've mentioned that cryptography is very important, which is the art of ensuring that things are hidden, right? You use a script, you use encryption techniques for different things, could be for confidentiality, integrity, and the rest of them, right? Now, during the reconnaissance phase, attackers can inspect secure socket layer certificates to obtain information about organization, potential cryptographic flaws, and weak implementations. Why? You need a certificate that guarantees that, not guarantee, that authenticates you or the service you're using as thorough. There are some sites you go to and you get a notification saying that this site may not be secure. And then there's an option. You either go back or go forward regardless, right? At such points, everything that happens from that point on might be at your risk. Now, there are two things that happen. Certificates are written by certificate authorities or given, which is like a validation given to certain scripts that says this person or this particular certificate is given to this organization or given to this institution because they have met, the conditions required. And they can grant you that certificate, which is appended on most of your conversations online, right? By conversations, I mean you have a service that people use. Some client get to interact with that service. So there must be a way I can tell that this guy sells original thing. Let me bring it to relatable terms. There are some places you go to buy some things that you use. Let's say, for example, things you ingest. So let's say meat, right? You want to attest that this person that I'm buying this meat from is selling meat, not meat inflated with water, right? But meat that they slaughtered that day and they are selling to you. But how do you know that? There must be something that you have received either by conversation or from someone that says, this guy, is meat, the meat that they sell there is correct. They sell meat for that day. If you see that the guy doesn't have meat, then he has not slaughtered any cow. So there's some sort of certificate. It certifies that this guy, whatever he's selling, is to a large degree something you can attest for. So the same thing happens to what's it called? We have organizations in this country that give maybe food. I think is NAFDAC. We have also for skincare products. We have Standard Organization of Nigeria. All of these guys are like certifying bodies that say, hey, the product these people are selling, whatever category it falls under, it is good for consumption or for use. But the moment the person doesn't have anything like that, what do? We say, okay, this certificate suggests that, this guy is compromised. If the person is compromised, then of course we cannot participate or share in that. And that's very, very important. Now, in the process of ensuring that these things are hidden, as it were, right? A lot is inside those certificates, right? Their serial numbers, the common name of that subject, where their resources identified or where it's stored, right, on the server, information is there, the organization name is there. Now, so which means based on the issues that people faced before, attackers have been able to leverage on this transparency, right? And it allows them to view the subdomains or services or the credentials of a particular provider, which should have been something private, but because there must be some level of transparency, they are made available. So you can imagine somebody having details about you. Now, here's the part that is very important, why I like to talk about this. Each time sorry, can you please mute your mic? I don't know whose mic is on. It just keeps distracting me. Apologies, please. I think it's, I don't know. Your mic is, you can mute your mic, please. Thank you. I don't know whether he's there. Oluwenga, please, if you can mute your mic, because every sound in your background is just coming up here.
All right, I'm trying to do that. Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. So now every site, right? Every certificate that is given, either considered valid or have been revoked. The certificate is revoked because it has been compromised or is considered no more valid. And when I say no more valid, it could be that the how do I put it now? Like the okay. So each time a certificate is given, it is considered valid for a period of time. Now, once that validity expires, that certificate is retrieved, meaning you can no longer use it. Should you want to use certificate for that site, acquire a new one from the certificate authority, which are bodies that issue certificates. Now, every application that you get to download from any of your stores, Play Store, Microsoft Store, Apple Store, they've been given some form of validation by this authority saying these guys have met the conditions that allow for them to be used by people. It depends also on what you are doing, because you must state, am I retrieving people's information? Is it number? Is it their personal identifiable information? Is it health information, financial information, and all of this stuff? Now, if you have a service that you're giving and it requires people giving those kind of information as, credentials for logging onto the service or enjoying the service, then we want to find out what you want to do with those information. Now, by the time you fill our forms up, we have interactions and you pass the test and we can tell that you're not using it for malicious intent, then we can certify you. Right? So once we certify you, of course, that certificate has a number, just like what NAFDAC does for products that have their number on it. So if it doesn't have a NAFDAC number, it's considered not valid. So, but what if it so happens that we observe that there are some numbers going out that have a sequence, and these numbers have been compromised, somebody compromised it for whatever reason, right? What we want to do is to revoke those certificates and put them in a list. So, which is a certificate revocation list. So, once we have that, this, for some reason, all of this information are out there for the purposes of transparency. So revocation list should not be what is made available to the public, but because some attacks have happened and we need those information valid, those valid information out there for people to look at, it becomes an issue. So the goal of certificate transparency is for organizations or individuals to be able to transparently verify that the certificate that they have, or the digital certificate, the issuance of a digital certificate is valid. So, hey, when I make it public, you know that it's still valid, and I can tell. You see it happen sometimes. You go to some sites, they tell you that these guys, they don't have a valid certificate. Continue at your own risk, right? So for some reason, right, certificate transparency allows certificate authorities to provide details about all the certificates that have been used or issued to a given domain and organization. So I can list all of it. They were given certificate. If you observe, when we check, let's go back a little if I can find that out. We have information here about, where are we? Let me see. Here, right? The creation date, updated date, right? And expiry date. All of these things, this particular site now, all of this information is all out there. And this is for the purposes of, this is not for certificate now, but something like this is out there. And I don't need this personal information out there. Imagine somebody having information about when I renewed my DSTV, whether I'm using Netflix or not, how much unit I purchased and all, for in the name of transparency. So attackers can also use this information to reveal what other subdomains and system an organization may own. So if you had run services like your mail and the certificate is expired or been revoked, once it's expired or you're renewing it, the one you're using before is revoked and it's put in a list so that it's not used anymore. Now we use that to also compare the next time somebody comes with a certificate that is perhaps expired or not valid to be used. Okay, hey, it's in the list, it's the revocation list. So some form of transparency has led to some trouble. Okay, so there's a site called crt.sh. It's a tool you can use to obtain detailed certificate transparency information. So let's find out about, we'll get this output now. Let me quickly show you that. So let's find, all right, sir, engineer, I'll send it. I hope it's not been broken too long. Okay, so let me try to show us something. So let's attempt to use the crt.sh, right? And see what we can try to interpret. So let's say it's https colon double slash crt. That's the site crt. Don't worry, I'm typing it on my browser so that I can just launch it, then bring it up and explain to you what exactly this command actually suggests. We try to break it down and explain what it means. So when you are using this command, you have a reference to, is it a reference now? You can understand what's happening. So let's say it's hacker.com, hacker, H4, CKER, hacker.org, org, right? So let's see. Let's go. I'm going to share it now. Hold on. Okay. Stop sharing this guy. Let me share my browser. So I'm going to go back, share this guy, escape. So let's go to this site, right? So I'm sure you can see my screen, https, right? Colon slash crt dot sh. Okay, so I tried it earlier today. That's why we have it here. Okay, so that's the site. I'm going to try to explain how this works. I'll attempt to show it. So I've typed the address on my browser and it's going to come up with this loading. Okay, this is with respect to certificate transparency logs. Okay, this is, I think it's a free, oh my, come on. So let me see if I can. Great. All right, so this is the report that we have in that slide. Okay, so it's just listing certificates that we have that are valid. But again, remember, this is just a test. This site is a free site. So you can see here, there's a list here. These are the certificates, right? Certificates that are here. These are their identity, right? Certificate ID identity. Right? So this is the free online certificate transparency. It's a log search tool, right? Just more or less trying to find out your secure socket layer or transport layer socket certificates for particular domains. Now, in this particular case, the domain we're looking at is hacker.org. So let me try to explain what this means. For example, we have, of course, the crt.sh, that's the site, right? Now, there's a query, the queue, there's a query. I'm finding a query for the certificate for this site that is equal to hacker.org, right? That's just simply what this means. So in trying to find it, right, this is what it shows. It's showing these are the certificates that this site has had over time. This is 2024. Today is 27th. As it stands, the highest guy is at the top here. So if you notice, there's 10, 9, the address is the long list, since 2018. Okay, so far as it stands, this is store.hacker. There's web, there's mail, there's portal, there's backdoor, malicious hacker, websploit. All of these it's a free site. So this is a repository of certificates that site. Let's look at this Let's choose one at random and see. So let's choose this guy random. Let's choose the one for today. Let's say, I think I tried looking at this earlier today, trying to open it. Just trying to open. So there we have it. It says here that the name, the certificate authority name key, this is the subject, common name, organization name, lesson script, country name, subject, public key info. The public key algorithm here is RSA, Ramin, some three guys, Adamant, some three guys came up with this. So the key is a 2048. This is the modulus, or this is like the combination that form the key, right? So this is the key that these guys have. Then it tells you, as it stands right now, this particular certificate, it was issued certificates is unexpired. This is expired, the total. Now, the pre-certificates that we have, total number of certificates that have been issued is this. These are the identity, common name, subject, email address, organization. So this is more or less a detail of what we have. And here he explains here that they have, for trust, server authentication is valid for this browser, Apple, Microsoft, Mozilla, Chrome, Android, Gmail, Java, Cisco. So some of them are valid, some are non-applicable, right? For client authentication, for the browser, it's not applicable. For Apple, it's valid. For Microsoft, it's valid, right? And so on and so forth. So it's a free site, right, that allows you to actually verify the validity of a particular certificate. Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, my battery don't die. It's a serious apology. Let me just share so that we don't lose the recording, so we can have what we have from here. Like I said yesterday, I'd really appreciate if we actually make the class very interactive. Questions, if people read, let's have questions from here. So the figure shows the result of the query for this, right? For the domain, this is the domain. So we're looking at, this is the site, crt.sh, right? And it's actually querying the certificates issued to this particular domain. And we can search that for multiple subdomains that are not known to the attacker before. So search as many of them and so on and so forth. Somebody's asking a question. No wahala. Yes. Now Nigeria. It is well, but then regardless, we'll have to hold classes. I said this at the beginning. I said it might be rough. We're trying to balance, but hey, let's do something. So we have some part of the curriculum that have not been covered, or part of this chapter. Please read about it, and then let's talk about it in the group. Okay, it's quite a number of them there. This is where I wanted to focus on today. But then I'll drop a document on this. I'll drop a write-up on this, so we can look at it. This is with respect to open source intelligence gathering and how they approach it, right? We'll see the breakdown and that's its approach. Again, this module focuses on using tools to gather information and also test for vulnerability. So thank you very much for your time today. I need to go before I lose the recording so that I don't have to explain to you what went wrong. Thank you all very much. Apologies for this kind of happenings.